So I want to welcome everyone to the annual general meeting. Bienvenue à la réunion générale de l'association. Aujourd'hui, nous allons recevoir le rapport annuel de l'association, voter sur les règlements et recevoir le rapport financier. Mais plus que ça, nous allons célébrer le succès de nos efforts pour continuellement promouvoir la profession du service social. I want to welcome everyone today to the annual general meeting. Today, we will receive the annual report of association activities, vote on the law amendments, and receive the auditor's report. But beyond that, we are going to celebrate the success of our efforts as we continually and incessantly aim to promote the profession of social work within the province of Ontario. I want to acknowledge the presence of some very important distinguished guests from our college. President of the college, Beatrice Straub-Warner, Lise Bitterich, the registrar, and Deputy Registrar, Laura Sheehan. Welcome. And at this time, I also want to reflect on a sad moment this year for the association, and in particular for Hamilton and the area branch board. Our sincerest condolences goes out to the Hamilton branch and the area branch board on the tragic loss of Catherine Staccia. I know that Catherine touched many lives within the social work community in Hamilton, and that she was an active and very vital member of the board. At a time when the board itself was going through some restructuring, her willingness to assume the role of treasurer and stepping up to provide leadership within that capacity was very appreciated, and she will not. Our thoughts go out to the branch, but also we are sending love to Catherine wherever she is. Thank you, Catherine. We have a message from the Minister of Community and Social Services.
On behalf of the Government of Ontario, I'm pleased to extend greetings to everyone at this year's annual general meeting of the Ontario Association of Social Workers. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person this year, but I do want to take this opportunity to recognize the invaluable contributions that social workers in Ontario make. Je regrette de ne pas pouvoir être avec vous en personne cette année, mais je tiens à profiter de cette occasion pour souligner les précieuses contributions que font les travailleuses sociales et travailleurs sociaux en Ontario. The work that social workers do is incredibly vital because it touches the lives of so many people in our communities. When I joined you for your AGM in 2015, I was so pleased that I could announce the $1 million Social Worker and Social Service Worker Professional Development Fund. Since the launch of the fund, we've seen a steady rise in applications, especially since last September, when we increased the funding cap from $300 per application to $500. I want to thank the Ontario Association of Social Workers for your leadership in the development and administration of the fund, as well as for the work you are doing to ensure that social workers in our province know about and take advantage of the fund. Working together, we are committed to providing more access to training and development opportunities to advance the knowledge and skills of our social workers and social service workers so that they can continue to improve their practice and quality of service. En travaillant ensemble, nous sommes déterminés à offrir un meilleur accès à des occasions de formation et de perfectionnement pour approfondir les connaissances et développer les compétences des travailleuses sociales et travailleurs, ainsi que des techniciennes et techniciens en travail social afin qu'ils puissent continuer d'améliorer leurs méthodes et la qualité de leurs services. I would like to thank the Ontario Association of Social Workers for being such an important partner to my ministry. I wish you a successful event, and I look forward to seeing you at your next gathering. Thank you.
So that was a very nice message from the minister. Now we're going to move on to the business, and so approval of the agenda. And when I ask for someone to put a motion forward, can you please say your name for the recorder, as recorder can't memorize 130 names. Okay, so the approval of the agenda. I'm sure you all have an agenda before you. Can I have someone are there any modifications to the agenda, first of all? Are you accepting the motion? Are you putting a motion forward to accept the agenda? Okay. And seconded by? All in favor? Nays? Abstentions? Thank you. We are now going to move to approving the minutes of the 2016 Annual General Meeting. Can I have someone to put a motion forward to accept the minutes of the 2016 Annual General Meeting? Again, please say your name for the recorder. Seconded by? Samantha, thank you. All in favor? Nays? Abstentions? Thank you. Now we'll move to the executive officers' reports. And I have the privilege of giving the first report. So this is always the best time. I love this because we get an opportunity to reflect on all the amazing things that we've done over the course of this year because of your membership and your interest in moving the profession of social work forward. And, you know, there's nothing better than having a collective punch to actually move a lot of the agenda items forward, to really look at improving the landscape of social work within the province of Ontario. And this year, I think we really packed a powerful punch. 2 years ago, the association, through its provincial board and its branches, created and developed a strategic map. And it identified 4 overarching priorities for the association. The first was research evidence that demonstrates the value of cost effectiveness of social work. The second was marketing the profession. And that came out of the fact that we know that we're great, but other people need to know that we're great as well. And so we could keep telling ourselves that we're great, but we need people to say that we're great. And so a marketing strategy that was focused on helping people understand what social work was about and what our value was to society was critical for us to move forward. We also wanted to keep supporting our members through an enhanced professional development program. And then, of course, for any organization, financial sustainability and the sustainability of membership is something that we definitely wanted to focus on as well. So I'm going to speak a little bit about some of the things that we did within each one of these categories, just to talk about some of the highlights that we think we were very successful at this year. So the first is build research evidence. And what was really important here was that we partnered with researchers from the Factor Inwantosh Faculty of Social Work and several major hospitals across the province to implement and evaluate a 3-month emergency department pilot that was called the SCOPE project. Now, I'll tell you what SCOPE means, because every time you put something forward to the Ministry for Funding, you have to always give it a nice name, a fancy name. And we named it SCOPE. And SCOPE is Social Care Optimization Project in the Emergency Department. You like that? It took us like a day to come up with that. And the pilots place a social worker in the ED during peak hours of usage, usually between 2 and 10 p.m., to help divert non-urgent care patients. So we're looking at reducing return visits, hospital avoidance, and as well cost savings. What was really interesting with that, I think, was that social workers were driving the solutions to some of the system's problems. And the system was very, very open to hearing what we actually were proposing as a solution. As a result, the intervention was piloted at University Health Network, which is one of the largest health networks in Canada. We also piloted at St. Mike's Hospital right here, which was wonderful. And we're looking to pilot it as well at the Ottawa Hospital and potentially another site. So now sites are calling us to actually participate because they're hearing about the very important benefits that are occurring. In the initial pilot at UHN, they actually saved a total of $1.4 million. So there is appetite for social workers to actually add value to the system, but we have to be able to demonstrate what that value is. And that's what was so great about this particular initiative. I think the second thing that we're doing is looking at, we've implemented accelerator research grants. This is important because we need to do more research in social work. We need to do more research in social work, period. But we need to make sure that the social workers in the community are able to partner with some of the researchers at the university in order to move some of this out. Why? Because it's frontline staff, it's those social workers in the community who are providing frontline care, who actually have what I call the practice wisdom and have the burning questions. And so the whole idea around the accelerator research grants was to promote collaboration between the academic world or researchers and those who are in the field frontline practice. And we believe that as we start to test our practice wisdom, we're going to start to prove that some of what we think is right is really right. And then we're actually going to be able to, again, further the impact of social work with respect to evidence-based care and intervention. The last thing that so just so that you know, the applications were accepted between January 15th and March 15th for the accelerator grants. And the successful candidates will be notified at the end of May. The last thing that we did was we decided that if we were going to be players with respect to change in the province, we needed to not just sit and wait till a solution or research is put forward to the ministry, but we need to put research forward to the ministry for some of the things that we believe are going to be important. And what we believe is important will also be important to the ministry because we're looking at the identified needs that the ministry have put forward. And so we have looked at system needs and we formulated some research questions to help solve some of what we believe are the government priorities. So the OSW has resubmitted a multi-year research proposal for health system research funding through the Ministry of Health in April 2017. And the proposed project is entitled Seniors First, Better Care for Seniors at Risk Attending Sole Physician Practices. This project actually places social workers to offer preventative screening, care, and care coordination, and transfer of care in active and closing sole physician practices, which do not have access to allied health professionals. We're looking to help reduce what we would call, and what has been proven, are the fact that for those patients who are in sole physician practices, when they need they don't have access to nutrition or social work or psychology, and the social determinants of health are increasing. 60% of the care that's provided in Ontario are provided by physicians who are not connected to any allied health. Think about that. So we decided to say, hey, why not have mobile social workers who can actually go into physician offices, support with the social determinants of health, and let's look at the impact that that has on emergency department visits. Let's look at the impact that could have on hospital admissions Let's even dare as social workers to look at the impact that it may have on mortality and death. Because we never really see ourselves connected to that, unless we work in areas where it's acute, mental health. But social determinants of health, as we can see south of the border, does make a difference with respect to life and death. And so we're moving that social work agenda forward. We also decided to, one of the outcomes that we also want to look at is cost effectiveness to the system, obviously. Next is marketing the profession. From feedback from the launch last year of phase 1, which was very much focused internally, we are looking at phase 2, which is a lot more public facing, right? So it's a campaign about really educating the public about what social workers do. And so we have as you can see, a really nice glossy AGM report, which you received when you arrived, which provides some infographic on ways in which messaging about social work was directed to the public. And our guest speaker later, Gabby Nobrega, will be speaking on this topic. And I can assure you, when we first met Gabby, we were quite impressed with her approach. She made us think about ourselves in ways that we've never thought about ourselves. And so I'm sure that she will engage you in a very similar fashion. We also want to make sure that social workers in the province are supported. There was an enhanced focus on our members, supporting our members in accessing high quality professional development opportunities. And you'll be hearing more about the initiatives related to this priority within the VP of Social and Professional Advocacy, Ellen Sue Mesbar and Jones report. And finally, of course, the final health of the organization. Our fourth strategic map priority will be captured in the Treasurer Secretary report by Rashad Vahid.
Thanks, Keith. I'm Joan Mackenzie Davis, the Executive Director of OASW. The past year has been both exciting and productive. Activities at the provincial office have focused on a wide array of initiatives aimed at advancing the interests and concerns of the profession as well as demonstrating value to members. I'm going to limit my remarks to activities that are not covered in other people's reports. At the end of March, Jasmine Ferreira, who has an MSW, joined our staff as the Communications Public Relations Manager. We're delighted. This is a 3-day position, and her responsibilities include helping us make better use of technology to communicate our messages and increasing the association's presence on social media. Applications to the PD fund have increased steadily over the past year. This is due to a growing awareness of the fund as well as an increase in the annual per person allocation from $300 to $500 a year. We're talking on a regular basis to the ministry, and we're hopeful that this will become a permanent fund. The 2-year pilot ends on August 31st of this year. So our efforts are aimed at making it a permanent fund. We are continuing to work very closely with a government relations firm to foster relationships with key influencers and decision makers in government and to shape our messages to them, especially around social and professional advocacy. A sampling of our activities include, but aren't limited to, meetings with ministers, MPPs, and senior policy advisors to, for example, advocate for equitable distribution of primary care, recruitment, and retention funds so that all members of interdisciplinary teams are recognized in an increase as salaries have been frozen for about 7 years. Passage of the Controlled Act of Psychotherapy, as well as increased supports for caregivers. We've participated in an array of consultations with government related to strategies around dementia, palliative and end-of-life care, opioid use, human trafficking, as well as ending violence against Indigenous women. Submissions were also made to government around the pre-budget consultation and the basic income pilot project. We've been successful in having quite a number of letters published in the newspapers, both in print and in online versions. Two that have received a good deal of attention relate to teen suicide and the inadequate funding for First Nations children living on reserve. What is not included in the AGM report, which I want to highlight, is the launch this week of passpsychotherapyact.ca website. It was launched on Tuesday. The intent is to tell the Government of Ontario that enough is enough. Stop the delays. The Controlled Act needs to be passed. Social workers are currently denied access to the title psychotherapist, and we strongly believe, and there are indications, that this downgrades the services we provide in the eyes of the public. It also has the potential to limit access to psychotherapy services and potentially threatens patient safety. I ask of you today to make a commitment to go to that website, to send a message to the Ontario government, to share the website with other social workers who are not OASW members, to employers of social workers, to colleagues in related professions. We need to get the government to act. It'll be 10 years come December of this year. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellen Sue Mesber. Welcome. It's wonderful to see you all. I will not be repeating anything that anybody